Illinois, with its rich history and dynamic urban life, is a state many call home. But behind the bustling cities and charming small towns, there are areas where danger is just around the corner. Crime rates, unfortunately, run high in some places, making them less than ideal spots to settle down. Let's dive into the top 10 most dangerous places to live in Illinois, where safety isn't always guaranteed. Ready for the ride? Let's go! Let's start with Englewood, a neighborhood on Chicago's South Side. Once a vibrant, bustling community, Englewood has since fallen on hard times, becoming one of the most dangerous areas in the city. The violent crime rate here is a staggering 2,500 incidents per 100,000 residents, about 5 times the national average. Gun violence, gang activity, and drug-related crimes are common in Englewood. Property crime is no picnic either, with homes frequently targeted for break-ins and theft. Living here means being constantly on alert. Despite efforts to improve safety, it remains one of the most dangerous places to live in Illinois. Next up, we have East St. Louis, a city that's seen its fair share of struggles. Sitting on the Mississippi River, East St. Louis has a reputation for being one of the most dangerous places in the country. The crime rate here is jaw-dropping, about 5,000 violent crimes per 100,000 people. That's off the charts. With such a high violent crime rate, including shootings, robberies, and assaults, it's no wonder East St. Louis has earned its place on this list. Property crime is just as bad, with homes being broken into and cars stolen on the regular. The city has faced challenges for years, and despite efforts to reduce crime, residents still deal with significant safety concerns. Want to live here? Think again. Our next stop takes us to Rockford, the largest city in northern Illinois. Now, Rockford isn't all bad. It's got some great parks and a cool downtown area, but when it comes to crime, the numbers don't lie. The violent crime rate here is around 1,400 incidents per 100,000 people, well above the national average. Rockford struggles with issues like gang violence, drug trafficking, and a high rate of property crime. Car thefts, break-ins, and muggings are common, making life here more stressful than in other parts of the state. The city has made strides in improving safety, but it's still a long way from being one of Illinois' safer cities. Our next move takes us to Harvey, a small city in Cook County that's been battling crime for years. With about 20,000 residents, you'd think Harvey would be a quiet place to live, but the crime rate tells a different story. The violent crime rate here is about 1,700 per 100,000 residents, and the property crime isn't much better. Shootings, robberies, and assaults are all too common in Harvey. The city has been dealing with gang violence for decades, and despite the efforts of local law enforcement, crime continues to be a significant issue. Living here means keeping your doors locked and always watching your back. Next up is Peoria, the largest city on the Illinois River. Now, Peoria has its charms, sure, but when it comes to crime, it's a different story. The violent crime rate here is around 1,200 incidents per 100,000 people, and property crime is a huge issue too. If you live in Peoria, you've probably had to deal with a break-in or two. While the city has its nice neighborhoods, parts of Peoria are plagued by gang violence, drug activity, and theft. It's a city where residents often feel the need to be on guard, even during the day. There's been progress in certain areas, but Peoria remains one of Illinois' most dangerous places to live. Next up, Bloomington. Now, this one might surprise you. Known for being home to Illinois State University, you might think this college town would be relatively safe. But Bloomington's crime rate stands at around 1,100 incidents per 100,000 people, higher than you'd expect for a place like this. While violent crime is a bit lower compared to some of the other places on this list, assaults and theft are common issues in Bloomington. College towns tend to have a transient population, and that can sometimes contribute to property crime. The city isn't the most dangerous on this list, but if you live here, you still need to stay alert. Our next dangerous stop is Cicero, a suburb just west of Chicago. Once known as the home base of notorious mobster Al Capone, Cicero still hasn't fully shaken its criminal past. The crime rate here is around 1,300 incidents per 100,000 people, and both violent and property crimes are serious problems. From gang activity to drug-related crimes, Cicero has more than its fair share of issues. Robberies, assaults, and break-ins are part of everyday life for many residents. Despite community efforts to reduce crime, the town continues to be one of the more dangerous places to live in Illinois. Next up, let's head to the state capital, Springfield. It's the heart of Illinois politics, home to the state's most important government buildings, but Springfield's crime rate might surprise you. At about 1,600 incidents per 100,000 people, the city has some serious safety concerns. Certain neighborhoods in Springfield have higher crime rates than others, but overall violent crime, such as assaults and robberies, is a common issue. Property crime, including burglaries and car thefts, also keeps residents on edge. While the city has plenty of safe areas, you need to be careful in some parts. Our next move brings us to Danville, a small city that packs a big crime punch. With a population of just under 30,000, you wouldn't expect Danville to be on this list, but it definitely earns its spot. The crime rate here is around 1,800 incidents per 100,000 people, which is way higher than most small towns in Illinois. Violent crime is a huge issue in Danville, with shootings, assaults, and robberies being fairly common. Property crime is another headache, with homes frequently broken into and cars stolen. It's a city where safety isn't guaranteed, and many residents have learned to stay cautious at all times. Last but certainly not least, we arrive at Cahokia Heights. This small city has a crime rate of around 2,000 incidents per 100,000 people, making it one of the most dangerous places to live in the state. From violent crimes like assaults and shootings to property crimes like theft and burglary, Cahokia Heights struggles with safety. The city faces issues related to poverty, lack of resources, and crumbling infrastructure, which contribute to its high crime rate. Despite efforts to turn things around, Cahokia Heights continues to be a dangerous place to call home. If you're looking for a place to live in Illinois, you might want to give this one a pass.